Hello, it's been a while since I've made a video. I've moved, it feels like a couple times, but I think it was just once since I last made one. And it feels a little odd to get back into making a video, so I'm doing a simple one today, which is just different words that you can use instead of the word big when you want to describe something as big, because there's a lot more interesting words to say. And because I'm a little bit of a fan of words and where they come from, I'll talk a little bit about the etymologies. Okay, we're going to start with three of them that are relatively similar in origin. They all come from French. The first one is huge, which comes from, and this is real, a huge. I was definitely saying that wrong, but yeah, it just meant something that was, big or large. Then there's massive, which comes from, and again, this is not a joke, the French massif. God, I love saying words in French. It's so fun. Yeah, but that meant something that was bulky, so it sort of had a connotation of unwieldiness. And then, of course, there's the word large, which comes from the French large, um, which in Old French meant something like generous, and it originally comes from a Latin word which meant bountiful, like a bountiful harvest. Oh, there's actually another one like this, which is the word immense, which also comes from French, probably like immense or something. But in Latin, it would have been immensus, which means immeasurable. Okay, so we've got some French ones out of the way. That's always good. And now there's two that are just from Latin directly. The first one of these is enormous, which comes from the Latin word enormis. So it's pretty much the same. And it originally meant out of order or irregular, I suppose. And the other one that's similar to that is the word monstrous, which just means something, again, like deviating from the natural order. But it was only in the 1500s that it became used as a synonym for huge. Just realized I didn't actually have huge on this list. That's fine. You guys can look that one up. Speaking of huge, the word humongous is something that American English invented because it was sort of a mishmash of huge and monstrous. Although I don't know where the G comes from. Oh no, it comes from huge. Humongous. Okay, yeah, so it's sort of like they overlap a little bit. You get it. We've done French, we've done Latin. There's also some words that we get from Greek, like the word Titanic, which means obviously related to Titans, literally. And they were the beings that ruled before the gods. There's a whole mythology about that. If you want to hear about it, just leave a comment and I'll talk more about it. But basically, anything related to Titans could be Titanic. And obviously, as they were greater than gods and men, they were huge. Oh, but also from Greek, we get the word colossus, which just comes from the Greek word kolossus, which means like a gigantic statue. You probably know about the Colossus of Rhodes, for example. There's one more in the same vein, and that's the word monumental, which obviously relates very closely to the word monument, but that originally meant like a memorial structure, or it could be a statue as well. We also have gigantic coming from Greek, gigas meaning giant. So again, just like Titanic, it meant something related to the giants. And the most obvious thing about giants is that they are giant. So that became what gigantic meant. And we're almost done. I know this is a quick video, but I've saved really the best for last. Three left. First, we have astronomical. This one is very similar to how the other words have worked, that you have this concept and then you have things associated with the concept, and that main thing being space. So astronomical means related to astronomy. Astronomy studies space. What's the biggest thing that you know about space? It's huge, right? There's a lot of space. And so astronomical means something big. Although interestingly enough, astronomical can also mean something that's very, very small. And this is the only one of these words that can actually work both ways, because you can say, for example, that there's an astronomical chance of something happening, which means that the chance that it happens is very, very small. Or you can say that the odds are very, very big. And both of those are covered by the word astronomical. So that's kind of a fun one. The word that we can trace back the origin of the furthest is the word mountainous, where again, we have this concept of a mountain and its main attribute is that it's huge. Well, okay, maybe that's not its main attribute, but it's certainly the first thing that you notice in the distance. You never go like, oh, look, a mountain. It's small. I mean, I don't anyway. And that actually comes from a Proto-Indo-European word, which had some root, something like men, which just meant to project. So literally the name of the mountain is something that projects out from something else. So the earth. And now we come to the greatest word of them all, which is, and I'm not ashamed to say this, I'm a little ashamed to say this, but this is the reason I made the video, and that is the word mammoth. Because, much like Titanic, gigantic and mountainous, astronomical, it takes something, a concept that we already know, a thing that we know, and distills it down to its main attribute. And the main attribute in this case of the mammoth, which is sort of like a fuzzy elephant, if you don't know what a mammoth is for some reason, is again that they're very, very big animals. But this was first used in the entire world as an adjective for big to describe cheese. And this is true. This was sent to United States President Thomas Jefferson in 1802 by the Baptist Cheshire Congregation. And I really wish I could see what this cheese looked like, because the cheese weighed 560 kilograms, 1,235 pounds. The cheese was made from the milk from every single cow in the village, and they all made it. And as they were transporting it to Washington, the tales about this cheese grew and their reputation grew. And yes, I really want to eat this cheese, but unfortunately it's 200 years ago and I can't eat the cheese. But they also made a note to Thomas Jefferson, famous slave owner, that said this cheese was produced without the help of a single slave. I just want to say, based. Anyway, so those are the 15 words for big that I think you should use more. Hopefully you don't have to use words like bigly or I mean, you have to use the accent with that word, but yeah, anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks to my Patreon supporters and YouTube channel members who encourage me to make more videos. I know it hasn't been very much lately, but I still appreciate you for, for wanting to help me make stuff. Yeah, it's me again with more about the cheese. The motto of Thomas Jefferson was, "Rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God." And so the Cheshire Baptist Congregation put that on the cheese, and that is hardcore. And also, yeah, rebellion to tyrants. That's pretty good.